already on?
Yeah.
Oh, this was. They gotta wait for it to warm up.
Hey, there we go. Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, welcome. Thank you for coming.
I've been out of the country. Good.
We've got just a couple of things of stuff to talk about this morning. Apparently, there's been some talk of the club, or members in the club wanting to do some more license upgrades. And we don't have one planned yet. Is Justin here? I'm here. Oh, there's Justin. There's been some talk, Justin, of doing an extra class. Would you be willing to put another one together, an in-person one?
What's the demand?
Is there anybody in the class right here that wants to do an extra class?
Who is not an extra that wants to upgrade this year? Because these classes are a little bit more. So.
They're about 8 weeks. They're.
Who is not an extra that wants to be an extra? That would take the class? Okay, that's one.
Well, there's more than 10, and plus this is just a good representation of the club. So
yeah, that's not everything.
I think we have. Okay, Will. Excuse me.
Do you want to do it in person or do you want to do it via Zoom?
Zoom.
Okay, Zoom's easier. And then when do you want to start? We don't want to cut it in summer. So start tomorrow. Okay. Well, that's the other thing. I need instructors. Who's willing to instruct that is an extra? That knows what they're doing?
We could probably find enough people.
Yeah.
Justin, what are you thinking?
What month is it? April?
Yeah.
And do we want to do this in 1 month or 2? It's better to take 2 months.
Yeah, I do too.
So, Justin, are you inferring that if you're not an extra, you're not qualified to teach an extra class?
No.
Okay, well, that's kind of what you said.
Yeah, I did.
If you want to help teach the class and you know anything, we would like your help. If you can tie your own shoes.
Just deal with it.
Okay.
Okay. 3 months? Well,
It's what, 16 chapters?
it's a lot. We did it in 2 months.
Some of those chapters are pretty ugly.
Yeah. It takes about 8 weeks to do it right. You can do it in a shorter period of time, but then you're spending like 4 hours time doing it. Most people can't spend that kind of time doing that kind of thing. So we try to keep it 2 hours, and we break it up into 8 weeks, and it usually works out pretty good.
We're probably going real high.
Do you want to start in the fall, or do you want to do this over the summer? Because summer's going to be a challenge.
Next session.
Okay.
It's a
Kickoff for June.
As an alternative, Justin, why don't we, as an offer, the possibility of spreading it out with students and music by one time a week?
We can do
And
that.
then we can go over the summer, maybe into the fall.
Let's start in September.
Okay. Well, we can start in late August, because people are usually back by then. So, this will
When
be
does school start?
late August.
Okay, so we'll make some plans. We'll start putting something together. And we'll get.
And you do not have to be an extra to help test. Thank you. To help teach. Thank you,
In fact, it's a great opportunity if you're in the class to help teach the class, because it'll help you learn the material better. It's kind of the pay it forward kind of deal. So, in other news, the Utah Valley Amateur Radio Club, they're also going to be doing a class for extra. It looks like it's set up for July and August. And I think they're doing it in person, but that's a little bit of a drive to get down there. However, if you want to do it that way, that'll give you the opportunity, or we will set a class up and we'll have one here towards the fall, towards August, September timeframe. We'll get that set up. We'll put all the information out there on the club website. Next month is May, and we start. Yes,
Thank you.
We we start doing our summer activities in May, and the first summer activity is the Golden Spike, the anniversary of the driving of the Golden Spike event that we do every year. We are good to go for this year. We've contacted the Rangers. They're expecting us like they do every year. They're a bunch of good people up there. They help us out. They've got us. We don't know exactly where we're going to be yet because they're doing some other kind of a. This year the 10th. It's the 9th or 10th. One of them. Anyway, it's like a Tuesday. So they're setting up a special thing on Saturday as well, so that they get more people up there because it's the weekend. So they're setting up a special thing on Saturday. We don't know if they're going to move us around or if they're going to have it. We don't know exactly how all that's going to work out yet. But if we need to take our canopies up there, we'll take some canopies up there. We'll take some tables. We'll have chairs. We'll have what we need, and we'll set up the antenna, and it'll probably stay up the whole time. We usually put it off out of the way, and it's not a problem. We may have to modify that. We'll see what happens. But we're getting all ready and all set up for that. So that starts the explanation of why we seem to be doing so much with mobile operations in our club meetings last month and this month. And it's because we do a couple of really good events every year where we're doing, in essence, mobile operation. But it's also something that a lot of people like to do. We have SOTA, which is Summits on the Air. There's some rules and regulations. I don't know all of them. I know you have to be so close to the summit of a mountain, but then you can set up mobile operations, and you can do contacting where other people are getting credit for contacting you, and then you get credit for contacting them, and there's awards and all kinds of stuff. There's POTA, which is Parks on the Air, and that's a private organization, and they do the same thing. You go to national parks, state parks, you name it. You set up, you do mobile operations, people contact you, you contact them, everybody gets credit, and there's awards that they give out. So if you're into contesting, if you're into that kind of thing, those are a couple of really good ways to do it. But they're all mobile operations. But so is our Golden Spike event. And, okay, it's a little more cush. We have power available and things like that. But it is a mobile operation. We go out, we set up the radios, we set up an antenna, and then we operate for a couple of days and contact people. And it's a lot of fun because it's a special event. And so we get the call sign W7G. And when people contact us, we send them our little QSL cards. And which ones are we doing a different one this year, or are we doing the same one we did last year? Same one? So we've done a couple different ones. All the designs, I think, and all the cards can be seen on the website. It's w7g.org, right? So you can go right to w7g.org. You can see the past years that we've done. And we sometimes contact people and talk to people. As you know, ham radio tends to attract some of the older generation. A few years ago, we talked to a guy in California who used to work on the old railroads. So he remembers back when there were still steam-driven, engines. And so in the background, the whistle went off. And this guy was excited. He was really, really excited about this whole thing. We talked to him for about a half hour. He was a great contact. He was a great guy. He really enjoyed hearing the commotion and the whistle and everything else going on in the background. And it just made his day. And we made sure he got a QSL card. And that's kind of what we do this kind of thing for. It gives people the opportunity to participate in some way. But it's also kind of connected because they do that whole thing with Morse code. It's not real, but they've got some guy up there, and the guy that they have up there, he's actually doing American Morse. He knows the code. So he's up there, and what he's typing out is exactly what they typed out at the time. And he's also a ham radio operator. So 2 years ago, he came over and he operated radio with us and talked with us for about an hour, and he, had a good time, and it was a good experience for him. So, we do this kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't participated in it, please join us this year. It's going to be a lot of fun again. You get to go in there, you don't have to pay for an entrance fee or anything, you just park, you come over, you can operate the radio, you'll make contacts, maybe some years are better than others as far as the propagation goes, but we should be doing okay this year with the solar cycle the way it is. And you know, it's just a great opportunity. If you don't have a general or extra license, it doesn't matter. We will make sure there are control operators there for you. It's a good opportunity to use the radio. It's a good opportunity to make contacts, to see what this kind of event is like, and to do some remote operation. Feel free to bring your significant other. If you've got kids, they can come along. It might be a stretch to bring your grandkids, but bring them along even if you have to pay for their entrance fees or whatever. It's well worth it, and those trains are beautiful, and you get to watch the whole event and participate in it in some way. So we did the 150 anniversary a couple of years ago, and that was a really, really neat experience as well. They went all out for that one. So that's where we start our summer activities. The next one is in June, and that's our field day. And field day, we do the whole thing. You guys can come out. They usually okay us camping. We're going to be at the Marriott Park, right? Over there, it's just next to just across from the IRS building, just off of 12th Street. And it's a nice little park. Feel free we have room there in the parking lot and some other places where you can park a small trailer if you wanted to bring it. We operate for 24 hours, from noon Saturday to noon Sunday. And it's overnight and everything. We usually have fewer operators during the night. We'd like to get a few more operators overnight. Now that doesn't mean you have to stay all night. You can come till midnight, show up at midnight, stay till 1, get up really early, come out at 4 in the morning, whatever. We would just like to have a few more operators in the middle of the night. But you can come anytime. Saturday night we have a big potluck thing with hamburgers, hot dogs. And sometimes we get wet. A few years ago, my first year in fact, we had some trailer set up out there, and they forgot to turn off the sprinklers. And Gil was inside the trailer operating CW, and the sprinkler came on and shot right down inside the opening of the trailer. And yeah, that caused a little bit of commotion. We had to scramble to keep everything from getting wet and whatnot. So sometimes things happen. I think we're probably good with the sprinkler system again this year. Okay. Val has gotten a really good relationship with them down there. I went down there to try to reserve it, I don't remember how many years ago, and they looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Val goes in there, they know him, they set us up, it's good to go. Yeah, Val's got the connections on that one.
And the price is right.
Yeah, and the price is right, because Terry, what's the former sheriff, what's his name? Terry Thompson. He's an honorary member of the club, and so he's agreed to all this. Because he lives in the area, we get it for free, right? So we get set up that way. So they're really good with us as well. But it's also another opportunity.
It's mainly because of our 501c7.
Oh, okay, it's for the 501c7. All right. So it's a really good opportunity to operate radio again. We will have both our stations out there. We have the ICOM 7300, and we have the Yaesu 991A. And so we'll have those set up. We'll have 2 or 3 antennas set up. We're ready with those this year, right? We had one last year that was not working very well, and I think Gene went through and sliced and diced that one so that it would work for us. And we have that vertical, which is working really well, I understand.
Yeah, 2 verticals, and I don't know that we're going to have a G5 RV this year.
So there might not be a G5.
I've given up on them.
So, okay, so that we're going to have, so those will be available. We'll have all the opportunity that you want to operate radio, you'll have that opportunity. Show up, make a couple contacts, do some logging with some people. It's a great opportunity to get into this kind of thing. If a disaster happens, that's what this field day is for. If a disaster happens, if you've been through it once, it's easier to do it again. And if you're trying to do it after a disaster, the stress level is so high, it makes things difficult. But if you're doing it during field day, you might be stressed a little bit, but once you've experienced it, it's no big deal. It's great fun. So you can actually get into it and feel comfortable with it. Then if a disaster happens, you can have that little bit of anxiety and stress, but you know what you're doing. So it's a good opportunity. It's a really good opportunity. We'll make sure all the information's on the website. Like I said, even if you just come for the hot dogs and hamburgers in Saturday night, that'd be great. And for those that are there operating on Sunday morning, I heard some crazy guy shows up and does breakfast. So, you know, there's always that to look forward to.
Really good breakfast, too.
Yeah, we have a pretty good breakfast, yeah. There was something else you were telling me, Tom. Is there a national something day or
World Amateur Radio Day or International Amateur Radio Day is April 18th.
April 18th
To the 20th.
through the 20th? International Amateur Radio something day. World Radio Day. Okay.
Yeah, it's Monday, so the day after Easter, and I'm going to be doing W7W and then the VOIP group that I'm with in Vegas. They'll be doing W0W on Echolink and IRLP and All-Star. So the information's on the QSD
Okay.
under that for special events.
So we'll if we can, Val, can we get that one put on the website too? This is a worldwide event. Everybody gets on the radio. They operate radio for a few days. And you just make contacts, and you can actually do some, because a lot of people are doing this across the world, you can actually make some DX contacts. So if you have a country that you're looking for or that you'd like to contact, it would be a great time to try during those few days.
Also, they say that World Amateur Radio Day shouldn't be like really a contest. It should be a way to let other people that are not involved in amateur radio know about amateur radio and get them interested into it. So it's a good way to talk about it to the non-amateur radio community, demonstrate it. You know, be like I'll try to do some FT8 and then some HF voice on HF with W7W. And the other guys are doing, you know, the IRLP, Echolink, and All-Star stuff. So that's like they did, you know, VOIP communications. So that's kind of demonstrating that. And so that's, you know, it's just a good way to get people informed and be like, oh, okay, there's something different than just cell phones.
Yes, because when all else fails, there's still amateur radio. And there was the state of Utah actually mentioned it, called it out on their Be Ready Utah page. They just had an article about ham radio, which is interesting because in past years we've talked to them about it and they just weren't really all that interested in promoting ham radio at all. So this year to see that out there, that's been great. And then there's the Great Utah Shakeout, which happens on the 18th? 21st this year. You can participate in that. I know a lot of businesses are participating in that. A lot of organizations are. I know the schools will be participating.
There's the other special event coming up in May, 7th Area QSO Party.
Okay, 7th Area QSO Party. Does anybody have anything planned for that again this year in your club? I know in past years there's been some people doing things.
Stan, I think he should do something like that.
Is Stan here today?
He's not.
He's not.
I think he's put it together in the past.
Is that the one in May?
Yeah.
I don't think Stan's doing it. We talked about it.
Okay.
Too many people were gone. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 90% sure.
Okay.
I think Mike Fulmer's been talking about it.
Mike Fulmer? Okay.
The one thing about the 7th QSO party, they try to activate all the counties in all of the 7th area states. So Weaver County is always a county that's nice to have. So anybody just wants to get on at home and participate just for an hour or 10 minutes, they just get on and make a few contacts because people really like that.
And you can do it, it can be done on any frequency, right?
Yes.
2 meter, 70 centimeter, 10 meter, 6 meter, whatever you want to do it on. which means technicians, generals, and extras can all participate in this. You can hit the intermountain intertie. You know, there's ways that you can actually use the stuff that we have available and make contacts that way. So it might be something worth doing.
Box Elder County Golden Spark Club is going to exercise their trailer from 10 to 12 on that day.
Okay.
And so they'll be using their network of repeaters. They're all linked together, all four.
Okay. So there'll be an opportunity to make other contacts and whatnot. So sometimes some of the groups get together. If you're interested in getting together, this is in May, right?
First week in May.
First week in May. If you're interested in getting together, get with me afterwards, and maybe we have enough interest to put together something. We can come here to the school. We do have an ICOM 7300 here that we can use. We just got the antenna and everything hooked up. It actually works really well. We were on JS8 and we were contacting in Florida and Georgia and Pennsylvania and all the way up into Vancouver, BC and some other places. So the radio in the building, the antenna on top of the building is doing a pretty good job. So we could probably set something up if there's interest for it. I think is there any other announcements from the? It's a Gene 5 RV.
It works great.
It's in Gene's words, it's set up properly. So it should be okay for use. Now, granted, it is not the best antenna, but it is the one that the school had purchased, and so we set it up. It's up there. And it is 35 feet off the ground. It's doing it off the top of the building. Plus, it's up on top of the building, so it's up there a ways.
If anybody's a member of the VHF Society and has not got their booklet yet, I've got some books with me. We've mailed them all out, so you should have them. So if you don't have a book and you're a member of the society, come see me after the meeting.
Okay. And if you'd like to become a member of the Utah VHF Society, you can also talk to Mel back there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's the organization that supports and maintains the Intermountain Intertie and all the other repeaters that aren't club associated and stuff. They also help the clubs in the area with their repeaters. They coordinate all of our frequencies here in Utah, so they take care of all of that stuff. And it's good to have whatever help that you can give them. Your membership dues pay for your entrance into the swap meet, which is in the past now. So if you decide to do that again next year, it's what's the dues now?
Dues are $15 right now, but we're going to raise it to $17 in September.
So $17, and that's for a year. It's not, it's the price of what a gallon of gas now. So it's not a problem for most people.
If you want to save some money, you can renew now for multiple years. We encourage that if that's what you'd like to do, but we appreciate the dues in any form or way they come. Thank you.
About every year when I do it, I get, because I do it through PayPal or whatever, they recommend you do 2 years dues through PayPal because of the cost. So every year for, I don't know, the past 5 or 6 years I've been doing that. So I've got maybe 10 years of member dues paid already. So that's a good way to do it. Okay, I think that's all the announcements that we have. We do have our ham and eggs net on Tuesday evenings. The only other thing I have is who operates an FT991A? Do any of you guys know how to do 60 meters on one of those bloody things?
Mars modular.
Mars, I'm not going to modular you.
Oh, come on. It's a preset.
Okay, I got all the presets and everything. It won't tune and it won't transmit. Okay, maybe I'll talk with you afterwards.
final transmit one time, and then it's done. Until you go back to it again and reprogram it back.
So it sounds like they tried to be helpful to death. So, okay. All right, so I'm going to turn the time over to Mike real quick, and then we'll get started with today's presentation. Thanks, Dave.
All right, so today we've got our presentation by Cody, and it's going to be on Parks on the Air, Summits on the Air, remote operation. This is going to be maybe a two or three meeting, I guess, deal. Robert here, KJ7OHU, has agreed to do one in the future. Oh, sorry, thanks. Anyway, but we'll have this kind of as an ongoing. So Cody's going to kind of kick it off today. One of the things that I've kind of thrown out, but I probably haven't thrown it out to the group as well as I need to, is what interests do you guys have on future meetings? What whole list? Huh? I have a whole list. Oh, he has a whole list. Okay.
I did the...
I have a whole list too, but I want to know what people want, because I've got 20 more topics.
I'll send you the link on the email. I don't know how many remember when I did the ham and eggs net. I did the ham and eggs net, I don't remember, maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago. I asked the question, what is it that everybody wants to do? Now, we've added membership and everything since then, so I'm sure there might be other things. But I took down every suggestion that was given on the ham and eggs net. And we almost went into the Aries time because everybody had so many good suggestions. So I have a huge list that I can hand over to you so you can have that. And if anybody else has ideas that they would like to see done in club meetings, or even not just in club meetings, if you want to do something on another Saturday at some time, go ahead and contact us in the board in the club, because we would be happy to set up something. We can set things up here, we can set things up at someone's home, and we can do just about anything that you want to do. If you want to learn about, whatever it is in ham radio that you want to do, we can find someone that knows what they're doing, and we can put on some kind of presentation. So just let us know.
All right, thanks, Dave. I think along with that, if Val, if we got a list of topics that maybe we've covered in the last year, but future topics, could we post that on the website? Okay, I think that'd be great, and people can actually look on the website, and if there's any suggestions beyond what we see on there, my email is on the website as well as it's on QRZ. Feel free to shoot an email to me, I'm sure to Dave, to any of the board members, and we'll get it to each other. We always, try and discuss these at board meetings as well. So, yes.
Might I suggest doing more of a democratic process where you put the list in like a survey and have people be able to check the box on the thing that they want to see most?
I'm going to have to defer to Val on that one. He's our website designer. If that's possible, maybe we discuss that a little deeper at our next meeting. That's a really good idea, though. And I know we can do it through other means.
I'm more than happy to know.
Okay. So, all right. Well, that's. I think that would be. Both of those are ideas to where at least we can present it, but maybe if we can do like a survey or vote on it. But if there's anything else that's not on that list, please feel free to let me know. And if anybody enjoys presenting and there's something that they see on that list, they feel that they're kind of you don't have to be a subject matter expert, but if you have some knowledge in it, we're always looking for people willing to present as well. So anyway, speaking of that, Cody today has been so kind as to come and do our first presentation on this, so I'm going to turn the time over to him, and I really appreciate his willingness to jump in and do this for us. So we can give him a round of applause. We'll bring him up.
All right, good morning, everybody. How you doing today? I'm not a stand-up comic, so I will not pretend, will not give any jokes. So how many of y'all have done any SOTA, POTA, or remote operations? All right, definitely Tom, I know that. All right, so... What's that?
I said I was just stretching.
Oh, gotcha. All right, so... How many understand the whole purpose behind SOTA and POTA? Does anybody know? All right, so the main purpose and why it was designed was to help people throughout the community, not only for those who actually do enjoy going out and activating these peaks or parks, but also the people at home that aren't as able to get out and do those sorts of things. So you have your hunters and activators. Your activators are going to be the person in the park or on the peak, right? And then your hunters, their whole purpose is to go and make a contact with that person. Now, the way it works is the activator, in order to get credit for their activation of that park, they have to make 10 contacts at least in a 24-hour period, if I'm not mistaken. Now, the hunter gets credit for every contact they make. And then they do have these leaderboards and everything that they track all this. You submit your log, you get credit for it, and that's the whole game. Same thing, same concept goes with Summits on the Air. There is a list out there of various peaks. I know Ben Lomond is one of them. I think Mount Ogden is as well. Willard, not sure, is it? Is it now? I don't think it was before. Because it has a road going up to it. That's why I was looking.
But it still counts.
Yeah.
You could actually park.
Yeah, park. And that's what I was thinking, park and walk the, what, 300-400 feet?
Willard doesn't have a road.
Well, to the, whatchamacallit, lookout there. No, not to the peak, not to the peak, but you don't have to climb all the way up the mountain to get there, is my point. So anyway, it works the same way. You have your activator, which is on the peak, and you have your hunters, which seek out that person. And one of the good things about that is it allows a person to know what the abilities of their equipment are, both at home in your shack and the people who are doing remote operations. You know, nobody's going to carry their, what does Alan have now? The big, huge 200 watt.
3,000, I think.
Yeah. Nobody's going to carry that on their back to go up the side of the mountain, right? And the same concept goes for even people that are doing search and rescue. You know, you don't have the ability to carry everything with you. So these are very good activities to hone your skills. Not always are the bands going to be in your favor, you know, whether at home or on the mountain peak or in a park. I myself use everything mobile. Sure everybody's seen my truck. Everything that could possibly be done with ham radio can be done from that truck. And going from having the nice setup at home with the expensive $14,000 radios that are out there, some people have, I wish I was one of them, to something that has to run off a car battery, there's a huge difference there. So, with that being said, there was another thing I actually wanted to talk about. Kind of has to do with the mobile operations, is direction finding. It's a technology that's been around for many years. If anybody's ever heard of somebody called Amelia Earhart, that's actually how they were trying to find out where she crashed at. The equipment was a little bit different back then, but today it's a little bit more evolved and they are highly accurate. These also assist in search and rescue operations. When you have somebody that's doesn't know their location, but they have a radio they're transmitting, you can pinpoint where they're at. The more people you have, the better it is. The higher you get, the better it works. So it's a very good technology to have around. So
I've had the Kraken SDR direction finder. I've had on order for several months. I just got an email from I think a couple of days ago. It's supposed to be shipping. It was supposed to ship end of March, and now they're saying
they're taking forever.
They're saying it'll ship the end of April. So we'll be able to compare that with others.
No, you can't use your direction finder in July.
Yeah, what's up, Pete?
Numbering system, I've heard some on here, and they've got some number, so
yes, okay, so for Parks on the Air and Summits on the Air, you do have to register it. It's not just a willy-nilly thing. I do believe that they do accept non-registered for hunters, like as a contact for the activator to get their total of 10 contacts. But yes, you do have to register on their website. The website for Parks on the Air is parksontheair.com. Summits on the Air is SOTA. It's a UK address, if I remember correctly. But yeah, you register on there. They give you your registration number, and then that's the number that you would put on your logs and everything, so you can get credit within their award scheme.
When you call them, they get your number, and they respond with their number?
No, it's just a call sign thing. If I remember correctly, it was just through the call sign. So when you send in your log is going to have your registration number, and then it's going to be a regular log with times and all that stuff. And then the other people that are registered, for them to get credit, they would submit the same thing with their registration number, and then of course they figure out who was talking to who.
There is an exception for that, the park communication.
Yeah,
That's when you have to submit numbers for the parks that you're in.
Right, and I think they consider that like a double or a twofer or whatever they call that. Yeah, so there is that. Yeah. Any other questions with that?
So every activation has a unique number that's assigned basically once you register, is that correct?
Yeah, for the registered users, and then each park has its own registered number to tell which park it actually is. And it does have to be a state or federal park. It can't be like Riverdale City Park. Unfortunately. Gene?
When you say submit your logs, what does that mean?
ADIF file.
ADIF file, and they do have like their own little portal. They do have the app as well, but I'm not sure if the app is able to take that. The reason why I don't know is everywhere I go, there's no phone signal, so it doesn't work.
What's required in the log? The usual stuff, the time, the
Yes.
date, frequency, the call sign. Is the
Yes.
signal report also required?
No.
And then the registration number?
So yeah, your registration is going to be on the top. You're going to have the park information if you're the activator.
I'm talking about if I'm the hunter. And
Okay, then it's just going to be your registration number on there with your regular log.
If you're a hunter, you don't have to submit anything. It's part of the operation of the activator. They'll submit it and you'll get credit for it on the website.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I've never been a hunter, so I don't know that.
So I as a hunter would.
You don't have to do literally anything because all of it will be taken care of by the activator.
You have to confirm the contact?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of an issue when they were getting the people that weren't necessarily part of the program. They were having that issue, and I think that's why they got away from that, made it easier, yeah. Any other questions? Nothing? What's up, Pete? Oh, yeah, there's donuts up here. You brought donuts again. If anybody wants donuts, feel free to grab one. I see a bunch peeking out at me. Might have to go over there and get one myself, but anyway, yeah, if there's no further questions, Tom?
Yeah. So did you talk about when you are going to, so like if you're an activator or you're going to submit your logs, that I guess they have a weird way of, like for us, or at least in my call sign's AF7J, so I submit my logs to K7 at Parks on the Air.
Yeah, so
like
you're...
if you have like a K1 and you live in Utah, then you would submit it to K1 at Parks on the Air.
Right, yeah.
They do it a little differently.
I forget what they call them, like the regional managers, right?
Yeah, kind of like area.
Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, so there's no like, if you're in Utah, like, you have a specific area that you contact. So if you have an issue, or if you have even parks that you want to submit that aren't on the list, there is an area manager that controls all that. So that's the person you would contact. There's a list of them on the parksontheair.com website. And yeah, any questions you have about that with your area in mind, definitely you have to call them. to include the logs and everything.
Yeah, because I got confused, because what I did is I activated a park in Colorado, and I thought, okay, when they were talking about area, did they mean the area that I activated, or that? And then it was like, I found out later that it had to do with, you know, if your call sign was issued and it had the number 7 in it, then you contact K7, Parks and Air. So I don't know exactly if that's associated with the call sign or your actual address. But anyhow, they take those logs, I guess, look at them and make sure that
For
everything,
errors and such,
and errors, duplicates.
Right.
So and then they go ahead and tally up the points and give you the amount of points for the.
Right, and then you'll see, of course, see that on the website.
They're kind of like
It's updated.
a card checker. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, G.
so as an activator, do you get like a gold star, a certificate?
Yeah, gold star is my preference. No, so it's kind of like any other thing. You get recognition through the website. I don't remember if they do send out the.
You can get awards for like being the top activator of like a specific spot, or like a top hunter, you know, for a specific spot. There's all different kinds of awards based upon different metrics that you can do. So
It's all an award
there's a lot.
Right, it's an award scheme. So basically, anything you do, they have a list of every possible award you can get. What I'm not familiar with is if they actually send you like a certificate in the mail. I'm not sure. I've never gotten there. I'm not that good.
Yeah,
Yeah. What's going on, Rick?
Could you tell us what kind of equipment you use?
Oh yeah. So
Activation?
my equipment. All right. So what I mainly use is a 891 for HF operations. With that, I have the Z100 Plus tuner with a 102-inch width, and depending on what I'm actually doing, I might actually put up the 17-foot width. That's what I use for HF for 2-meter, 7-centimeter. I mean, it varies, but most of the time I do use the whips that are on the car, which is what was that one I bought, Gene? The Comet Super Beam something or other.
Just look in the catalog and
It's Comet's like
it's
top
a
of the
little
line
for those
mobile.
days. It's
Yeah.
also 61 inches.
Then I also have the Search and Rescue SAR Comet. Yeah, I have that too. So I'll switch out depending on what I'm trying to do. Mel, what's up?
I just looked up real quick, and they do give out certificates and plaques.
Oh yeah.
They give out special awards, like if you're a activator, they give a mountain goat award for the guy who goes up to the top of these mountains and
Right.
activates and gets 1,000 points. And if you work in your shack, they call you a shack sloth, and you get a shack sloth award.
Some good news right there, isn't it? Yeah, like I remember looking when I first got into the whole Parks on the Air thing. I remember looking at their leaderboard and looking at that top guy like, man, he has nothing to do. He just sits there and does that all day long. Yeah, it was an outrageous amount of points he had just for that moment. And it was crazy. So yeah, and
So, Cody, is there any power restrictions or anything? I mean, is it low power most of the time? Do you think, because I assume you could take your 7300 and put it on a battery and go out for parts. Is there any limit, or?
As far as I know, there's no restrictions outside of what the FCC
So it's not like a low power type of thing that they operate under 10 watts.
And I always do 100 or less anyway. So.
The power restriction is like for everything else. As minimal as you have to make the contact. These guys, they get out there, they talk about this, they say, well, I'm taking my linear amp and I'm going to blast the full. you don't need to do that and you shouldn't do that, but,
Well, I just didn't know since it was, you know, obviously you're not gonna carry stuff to the top of a mountain and push 200 watts out.
Well, no, and
But
I've actually, for that particular reason, I've actually looked at that, I forget the model number of it, but it's the icon, the little
Oh, yeah,
QR
705 or whatever.
Yeah, that's a nice little radio, and I don't remember the max on that, but
I think it's 10 watts.
Oh, is it 10? I was 5 watts.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
internal
yeah.
battery's 5, external.
Extra, okay,
yeah, so that's one that I've been looking at for that particular reason, because it's just so compact, and, I mean, that with a long wire, you're good to go, right?
Get that 1500 watt amp, you can do whatever you want.
Okay. Get a separate backpack for that one.
Yeah, no, you need it. I'm not carrying. I know what mine weighs, and I don't want to carry it.
No. I've carried it, they're not large. All right, so anybody else?
Bands, certain frequencies, is it?
Oh, that's actually a good thing, and I completely forgot that. So what you do when you're getting ready to go activate a park, you can put your information on, hey, I'll be at this park this time, these are the frequencies I'll be on. And it's like a message board almost. People go there, the hunters, they can go there, they can look, they can listen for you, all that good stuff. And that's pretty much how you get the word out that you're going to be doing this. And of course, we've all heard, barks on the air. I haven't heard too many summits on the air, but barks on the air generally, you'll hear them all the time. So if you come across them, feel free to hit them up. They appreciate it just as much as.
Can you use 12, 17, and 30 meters as well?
That's what I
They're allowed?
I don't think there is any restriction on it. No.
You can use whatever you want.
Yeah, you can use whatever because it's not as popular here, but in the UK, they use 2 meter, 70 centimeter all the time for their stuff. 4 meters. Yeah, they use all sorts. And here, the only time I've ever heard anybody on 2 meters was the Summits on the Air, and they were using a handheld up on somewhere, Willard or Ben Lomond, one or two. So yeah, there's even people out there with handhelds and directionals.
I think one of the restrictions there is you're not allowed to go through a repeater.
Yeah.
Yes, you're not allowed to go through any land-based repeater.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Land-based. You can use any satellite. You can do those. So again, I'm surprised I don't hear more 2 meter or 70 centimeter because
That's
again, use
kind of
satellite.
a dark art. There's not a lot of people that really are proficient with.
Yeah, if y'all remember, what was it last field day, right? With who was that guy that was out there? It was Stan and somebody else.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was Stan, but I can't remember who else was with him.
Yeah, there's somebody else with the arrow antennas, and he had better luck with his handheld than Stan did with his auto tracking.
Yeah, I think Stan's refined since then, but
yeah, I don't think he even got one contact. He heard some stuff, but I don't think he got a contact. But yeah, so pretty much it's an open game. If you can think it, you can. Elliot, you got something? No.
Summits on the Air has a lot stricter rules than parks on the air. Summits on the air, you cannot operate from a motor vehicle or anything attached to a motor vehicle.
And that's another good point. Completely forgot that. So with parks on the air, you can operate from a vehicle. I do believe it's within 100 feet, but it also has to be on public property, not private property. No trespassing. You do have to have permission. Some of the national parks, I do know some people had some issues with setting up their stations, and the reason being is because of the wording that they use. They said, I'm setting up a radio station, and they're thinking like KZ 101 whatever here. Well, no, that's a commercial thing. We're going to need a fee for that. And as a ham radio operator, you shouldn't have to do that. So you just need to go in there and explain to them specifically what you're doing. And for the most part, the National Park Service guys will let you do what you need to do.
They'll let you in without even paying the normal fee.
Sometimes. It really depends. Where is that down? Is it Arches and Zion and stuff like that? They charge the fee, and I think they have the tickets and silly stuff like that. That I don't know about. I've never tried it. But I'm sure if you reach out ahead of time and explain what you're doing, you never know, they might conk you a ticket, you know, so you can get in.
Right. Veterans get in free on all national.
Yeah, veterans get in free.
Oh, that's true,
Yeah, if you don't have your nice little card, be sure to carry your paperwork saying you're disabled.
Put it on your driver's license.
Or do they take that?
No, they
I got the
they don't take that. They won't take
They
your
won't?
driver. No,
They take mine.
they don't
I
take
never
mine.
get it.
Yeah, I actually went and got
I
the
actually have
card.
to pull my VA ID out every
I've
time
never
I
paid to get into a park.
Oh, I never either.
I just
And
show
it-
my driver's license.
Sometimes it's sad, like the Forest Service. Yeah, you save $4 for the weekend. That's awesome. I can go buy half a tank of gas, or excuse me, half a gallon of gas.
So,
That was back in the day.
so Cody, going back to the antennas and setting up
Sure.
the park, there was some discussion online about that, and it was that they want you to ask because it's like, okay, well, it's just a string in the tree, and one of the guys said, well, yeah, it is, but they're worried about transfer of infestation from like one tree from one part to another, because you know most hams they've got their infed or whatever with the rope on it that they throw up in the tree, and that might
Yeah, so if
go
you've
on
got
and
like the
affect
mite
your
issues and
fungus
stuff
tree,
like that,
and
yeah.
then you don't know it, and you roll it back up, and then put it in another tree. So that's why some places where these guys that do a lot of heavy POTA activation, they've actually had to just do POTA in the car because the ranger said sorry.
It
we're
is
gonna
kind of
put that.
different, right.
Or the other thing has been, who's going to set up in the rain? You know, it's,
Right.
you know, bad weather.
Well, then there's also the folks there. I do hear stories where people use the what is that? The super antenna or whatever.
Yes,
That's
the coil. Yeah.
got the spike that they stick in the ground, and they've even had problems with those because you're actually sticking a spike in the ground, which
Right.
to some people are like, it's kind of crazy, but
So, you know, there's a lot of parks that have that restriction. They don't want you putting anything up in the trees.
Right,
or
right,
anything
right.
on the ground. One thing that I've read that a lot of people are doing is just get those little fiberglass telescopic poles.
Right.
They go like 30 feet in the air.
And that is one thing that I do when I'm planning on staying somewhere for a day or so, as long as possible, because I hate setting that thing up. I do have 40 feet worth of fiberglass pole that I use as an antenna mast. And with that, I do have an off-center fed and a long wire that I can strand from that.
The other thing was, as far as the environmental impact is, most park rangers, if the previous bunches of amateur radio operators that they've experienced have been polite and courteous and
Right.
cleaned up and been a good nature steward or have that Boy Scout mentality of, never leave a trace behind kind of thing.
Yeah,
That then usually the park rangers just like, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I know who you
it's-
are. You're a ham radio operator. We know that you clean up after yourself.
Right.
And
As long as you leave them with a good experience, you're going to have a good experience, and your friends and neighbors are going to have a good experience as well. Yeah, definitely be courteous to the park rangers. If they say no, don't cop an attitude with them. Don't start quoting the law and all this crazy stuff. It's not they're in charge there, not you. And if it's something, maybe you bring it up with their superiors later, but not there on the spot. That's not
initial
gonna do
contact, though. It's how you handle that
Right.
initial,
Right.
it's that first impression.
If you're kind and courteous, they're going to be kind and courteous, and if they're not, then it's a different story.
If you hear of anybody that's not leaving a site the way it is, let Cody know, because we'll whack him in the head with the tack hammer.
I actually have a perfect little sledgehammer in the truck just for...
I use a ball peen, but
The tack hammer's nice because it's got that pointed end. The ball peen works well.
I found in some of these things, like when we deal with Golden Spike, that it's best to send them an email in advance. Because if they're not sure, and they're like, I need to ask my supervisor or whatever, if they don't know, and you'll run into this all the time with park rangers.
Right, they change staff.
Because they change staff, they change sites, they make, there's enough of them that they may never deal with the ham radio operator. But if you give them an email in advance, you say, hey, I'm coming up on this day, I'd like to set up my ham radio equipment. It's not permanent, not damaging, whatever you explain to them, they have an opportunity to send that up to their supervisor. They can talk about it. They can find out what's allowed and what's not, and then they can send you a reply email saying, sure, that would be fine. We look forward to seeing you, which is what the kind of email we get back from Golden Spike every year. Now, granted, they've dealt with us for many years up there, and they know what we do, and we don't leave anything behind. But this also gives them an opportunity to deal with ham radio operators in a good way. I've heard some of these POTA operators, they show up day of, they want to set up all this equipment, they get really upset when they say, I'm sorry, we don't allow that kind of thing here, and it's a bad experience for everybody. It's best, like they just said, to make sure that, treat them with courtesy. They are kind of the end say of the usage of the park at the moment. But you can always send them an email ahead of time, and it usually fixes all the issues and problems to begin with.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, one thing is, if you don't know, the National Park Service is always hired, so the chances of you just showing up and finding somebody at the gate taking money is an experienced person, and you might not get that experience. So, but even me with myself with other activities, I used to skateboard a lot, right? Everybody hates skateboarders.
Yeah.
Always the way. Right. So what I would do is anytime I'd go to there's a park that I can, they have a beachside walkway. I want to skateboard on it. So I call the people that were in charge. Hey, this is what I want to do. Do you mind? And for the most part, they would look into it, say, we don't have any rules against that. So as long as you're courteous with them, they're pretty courteous with you. But I'm very against the people that do the roadside loitering and stuff like that. That's not the place to do that stuff. You're just going to make everybody else's life more miserable in the future.
So with your operation, in general, if you go into a park to operate, you can go in and basically, say that you're going to operate, but if you're operating with just your equipment, say off of your 102-inch whip or whatever, you're not setting anything up physically in the park.
No. I've never had anybody say anything.
Okay, I was wondering.
I get some looks sometimes,
sure.
People are this crazy CV right here.
Yep.
I get those looks. For the most part, it's people that are curious about what I'm actually doing, and not in a bad way. They're curious about, hey, these are some pretty big antennas, what do you do here? And I'll go through it with them, and now we've just got another person in the hop, So it's not only, giving these park rangers and stuff a good attitude for future generations, but also for the people now that might actually be interested in the hobby. There's this misconception that grandpa, but it's not just grandpa that does this, it's everybody.
Cody, I just tell them I'm trying to contact my home planet.
I keep a thing of heavy-duty tinfoil in the truck just in case. Start wrapping that around my head. That CIA's after me again.
One far away.
The good one. I know Jared hasn't had this issue. Jared and I usually go up to the Ogden-Hinckley Airport. They have a nice little turnout area there where we will operate from. He's never experienced this, but all the time, never fails, there's somebody that stops and says, hey, you operating drones out here? Drones? It's a pretty big antenna for a drone. What kind of drone do you think I'm operating? So, I do get that a lot. But again, as long as you're courteous with them, they usually just leave you alone. Just explain. Be clear.
Just tell them, it's a drone, but it's in California.
And I do get that question. They think I'm doing CE stuff, right? And you see the 102-inch whip on the back of the truck. Man, how far does that get out? Worldwide. They're kind of surprised to hear that. So, I think the best one was I pulled up to Murphy's Pizza there in Ogden by Macy's. I guess that's Ogden, technically. And I went in to go get the pizza. I come out, and there was just a guy standing there staring at my truck. And I said, hey, what you looking at? And his wife said, oh, he's just admiring all your antennas. He wants to get some new toys. So right there, you know, just explaining that little bit, what I do, got another guy interested in it. So, yeah, you're an ambassador everywhere you go. All right, so if there's no further questions, I'll go ahead and turn this back over to Dave. And, you know, if there are any after the fact, you know, feel free to message me, email me, call me. I think all my contact information is on the website. Just get at me. All right, thank you all very much.
Thanks, Cody.
So, Cody, we need to look into this because we're going to be in Moab. We're also going to be up at Tahoe in June, and we're going to be down in Moab in October. So, for those that don't know, a lot of us, this is all along the Wasatch Front, we go down and we help support these endurance runs. They're 200 plus mile endurance runs, and these crazy guys, they go running through the mountains of Moab, and it's all around Moab. They go from when you first come into Moab, you've got that river and everything. There's this RV park that's right there, and they start there and they head towards the river and they run down in the lowlands, and then they come up through and they head over to the LaSalles and they go up the LaSalle Mountains. And then they go across the LaSalles and back down when they hit the river again, and they come back to that RV park. 240 miles. It's 239 point something miles. But they run through the mountains. These are endurance runners, and it takes them 5 days.
They're slotted for 5 days, but as we've seen it.
Yeah, last year the guy came running through 3 days in. He finished, I think, a half hour shy of the all-time record that was set the first year they ran it by a lady runner who finished it at about the same time. So there are people that are crazy and do this kind of thing. But it's fine. It's what they enjoy doing. What we go out and do is we support them in their joy by making sure they can do it safely. So cell phone usage is spotty at best out there. When we were up on top of the LaSalles, we had cell phone, if you could stand in one particular place in the entire area where we were, you could get a little bit of one bar and you could do some texting. So we're the ones that do the communication. We had 2 people with injury last year. One of them was a heart attack. The other one, he fell and got a laceration on his knee that was pretty serious. We were the ones that got hold of the medical people. We got an ambulance out there for the one guy. The other guy was transported by vehicle.
Yeah, and the first guy that happened was within the first 12 hours of the race.
Right.
I actually went out there to get him because there was nobody else available that could do that. So I just grabbed the handheld that I keep handy all the time and ran out there to get him. It was him and a female that was helping him hobble along, and it was some pretty nasty terrain. So the rain mixed with clay.
Yeah, so we go out there and we help them, and that's why we do a lot of this remote operation stuff, is because I know it's popular. I know a lot of people like to go out and do it. Locally, there's a guy, I think he's down in Utah County. His name's Mickey Appleblom. He runs Utah SAG. And the SAG operators, they have trucks, cars, whatever they've got, and they help support the marathons, the bike runs like Lodija and some of the other things. There's an endurance race, Wasatch 100 or something like that?
Yeah, that's in September every year.
That's in September. They help support that one. So there's a lot of opportunities for remote operation, either working an aid station where basically you sit there and operate radio from the aid station, or as a SAG driver where you drive around in a truck or whatever and you load up broke down bicycles, or you help people that they're exhausted or they're dehydrated or whatever the case is, and you help transport people to the aid station so that they can get aid, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of opportunities remote operating. And it's a lot of fun. When you get involved in those kind of things, it's really a lot of fun. So this year, we've been trying to get out to Tahoe for a couple of years. They keep canceling. They used to do it right during the fire season. So the past few years, it's been COVID and these big wildfires they keep having in California. This year, they've moved it to June, so we shouldn't hit the wildfire season. So we're going to go out there. We're actually going to help, I think it's the Sacramento Amateur Radio Club, help them get into this group so that they can take over that one, because Tahoe's not very close. At least Moab's only a few hours drive, so. But I think we're going to try and look into doing some POTA operations, and if we go up on the LaSalle's again with one of those, there's Geyser Point that's up there, so we might see if that one's on the list, and maybe we'll do some of those operations. We'll get some more details on that. We'll let you know. So if you want to do some HF POTA or SOTA hunting, we will try and activate those while we're out there, and you'll be able to do that. I think it'll be fun to give it a try. I haven't done any of that. I know Tom and several other people and Cody, they've done those type of operations. I haven't, so this will be a different experience for me as well. But it'll be a lot of fun. So, thanks for coming. If there's anything else for the club, okay, going once, going twice. Thank you for coming, and we hope to see you at Golden Spike in the coming month. Oh yeah, we got donuts. Please take a donut with you. Every time you, I thank you, Pete, for bringing them. I know people enjoy them. It makes makes the club meeting a little more special. But everybody leaves, and there's a bunch of donuts left that I have to take home. I don't need any more donuts, okay?
I think every time you pass up the opportunity to take a donut, an angel loses its wings.
Every time you fail to take a donut and you have the opportunity, an angel loses its wings. All right.